Watch A Good Afternoon Kentucky with Erica Bivens and T.G. Shuck.
Abandoned Kentucky, a book by photographers, was released in September and features 130 images of deserted, empty, and uninhabited locations throughout the Commonwealth that showcase what they call beauty in decay. I want to welcome in some of the authors. We have Sherman Cahal and also Michael Maes joining us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
This is incredible. Okay, so if you guys have never taken a look at this book, I want you to please do that. But talk more about what inspired you guys to capture Abandoned Kentucky.
The places that are featured in Abandoned Kentucky, are personal stories.
Yeah.
They're personal histories. All across the Commonwealth, from the Jackson Purchase, to reaches of Western Kentucky, to the coal fields of the eastern part of the state, factories along the Ohio River, the inner communities of Louisville and Lexington, and Covington and Newport. But for me personally, it was a collection of efforts that go back 17, 18 years, from places that I've worked at, or that I have visited over the years, or that my dad has worked at. So it's a very personal project.
Yeah. And Michael, you've been doing this for a number of years too.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a while. When I first started in photography, a friend of mine invited me to go photograph the Outer Baker Mansion in Louisville.
Okay.
And I was hooked from the beginning. It was a beautiful location. There was a lot of old documents there, paperwork and stuff, and it was interesting to try to piece together what happened and what caused the people to leave that location.
Absolutely. We're looking at some of these images that are in this book right now. They are just incredibly beautiful. Is there, and this might be a tough question, but maybe a most memorable location that you photographed in all of this for both of you?
I really enjoyed the Columbia Theater down in Paducah, Kentucky. That was something that all three of us made a trip down to see. And it was just, the theater hadn't been used since the 1980s. We did some outreach, was able to get access in, and it was gorgeous. From the curtain that had the Statue of Liberty, to the what looked like gold-plated, sconces, and the pastel seating. It was just breathtaking.
Michael, how about you?
Yeah, I had a friend that invited me to photograph a house out in Greenburn, Kentucky, and it had been in the family for over 100 years. And at the time when I photographed it, there was a bunch of their belongings were left there, and I was able to have free reign of the home and photograph anything I want. And it was a great project to do for them, and sadly the house burned down shortly after that. So it was a nice memory for me and for them, something to look back on.
Is it almost eerie for you guys to go into these abandoned locations and then find, like you were describing, things that are still there from maybe decades past?
Yeah. So if you go into what was it, the old Hazelwood Hospital in Maysville, Kentucky?
Yeah.
You go in there and there's still equipment laying about. The old morgue is still intact, or it was.
Ooh.
It's been decades since I've been inside, but all that equipment's still inside. It's a deafening, eerie experience, depending on your take of the paranormal.
Sure. I bet.
Or anything.
I want to get into this Facebook group because I think this is pretty awesome for people maybe wondering, is there a big following in this and abandoned images of Kentucky? There really are. Talk more about that Facebook group, Michael.
Yeah, it's a pretty big group. I can't remember what the last member count, but we're pretty high up there. I joined probably about 8 or 9 years ago, and since then, Steve McManus we've been in contact with him. He's the founder of the group, and it's just a really good group. There's a lot of great photographs there and a lot of good people to meet, and if you're interested in that sort of thing, I'd recommend going and checking it out.
Yeah, I think at last count it was over 400,000. I think we're at 420,000. It's bigger than our expectations. It was.
Yeah. Well, it's good. It's testament to what you guys are doing out there. I want to ask this question too, because what is it about abandoned places that keeps drawing you guys back specifically to photograph them?
It's the history and the stories.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a personal project. I really get involved in the research of a particular place, and calling up people who might have worked at personally, the old AK Armed Coast Steel Mill down in Ashland, Kentucky.
Yeah.
My dad worked there for 35 plus years, so it was great to be able to compile the history of the plant, to get the story right, and to kind of investigate what really happened.
Yeah.
So for me, it's personal.
Michael?
Yeah, for me, it's a lot of the mystery of what happened at a location, especially when you go to older homes. And so I remember one particular location that I went in, and the table was still set. There's still dishes on the table, and
Oh, wow.
Just trying to, the closets are full of clothes and everything's just left. They just up and left, and try to figure out what happened and when they left, and it's just trying to piece those things together. It's really interesting. Yes.
Ooh, I just got goosebumps listening to that. Okay, real quick, for people that are interested in picking up a copy, where can they find one?
Locally, Joseph Beth Booksellers
Okay.
has copies there. We'll be doing a book signing in November. Any national retailer of books will carry this within the state. Broadway Books down in Ashland, Joseph Beth locally, Carmichael's in Louisville, and then there's a lot of odds and end gift shops and independent retailers that will also carry it.
Fantastic. I highly encourage you guys to pick up a copy of this. Thank you both so much for coming in and for these beautiful photographs. I think people are really going to appreciate the work that you guys have done on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.